Hey everybody, it's Rob here. Today I want to talk about why I think the Gauntlet has failed and Diablo is not really popular right now, as you can see here with this current Gauntlet. I've been talking with a lot of people in my community, and also I'm obviously experienced the game and the Gauntlet myself, and yeah, it's just not doing it for Diablo right now. As you can see, this was like the launch number. This is like the general Google interest of the game, and we have been going ever down, and you can't even tell like when the Gauntlet launched here in this graph at all, and it's just been like a steady decline basically of the game. And yeah, I feel like the Gauntlet is just one of the many reasons and symptoms like why that is the case. So for me, I've been actually putting a lot of effort here. Like I've been like making these like routes here, where to go and stuff. But yeah, in the end, it feels like you're just like running the same map all over and over and over again. And I feel the Gauntlet missed the mark for casual players and also for the blasters or the people that play the game a lot. Diablo has a wide casual audience, and I think that was like one of the reasons why they made the Gauntlet so easy. It's only like Nightmare Dungeon 70. And yeah, just from a casual perspective, and I've talked to a lot of people, because I myself play the game quite a lot. Like I definitely have way more hours than a casual would invest in the game, right? But basically for casual, there doesn't seem to be enough incentive or rewards to do the Gauntlet at all. Like just to give some perspective, right now, the highest scores on the boards are like in the millions, right? People are reaching like much north of 1 million score. And most classes can do 1 million score, actually pretty comfortable. And you know what the highest tier of reward is? Like there's different seals basically. And we are having seals that are called worthy, and then there's like a bunch of other seals. But even the hardest seal, you only need to reach, I think it's 200 or 250k points. So this is like, not even 20% of what the top scores are. And that literally just takes one try for, the majority of the people that have an endgame character. And again, this is like, one of the endgame systems that you're supposed to do when you're level 100, right? So there's not really been any incentive for a lot of people. I get this a lot, that people do one run. The Gauntlet launches, they do one run, they get the last seal, they get the worthy seal, because again, reaching 200k points is extremely easy in comparison to, like reaching those millions of points. And then the rewards are always the same and also very underwhelming. Like you get these caches, and they just contain a couple of high level items, which you could just get like, by doing one tier like 80, which is about the same difficulty, to have 70, 80 vault, and you would get an entire inventory worth of items. While on the Gauntlet, at the end of the week, like you have to wait. It's like delayed gratification. Like your reward for ranking on the leaderboards is coming to your account like towards the very end of the week. So you have to wait 1 week, to play a couple runs, and you don't even get anything from it. Like you could just run one vault, which takes like about 2-3 minutes, and you would get more rewards than you get at the end of the week of competing in the Gauntlet. So for a casual player, there's literally like no incentive to do this. The rewards are only some items that are very much meaningless, and the rewards, or like the highest reward, is also very, very easy to reach. Like the highest seal is you go in once, you do it, and then most people quit basically, because they got all the rewards and they got everything there is to see. And only a very few people, are even interested in here ranking in the top leaderboards, because this is not for casuals in particular, because like they can just not, put in the time that is required to be on top of the leaderboards there. And I mean, there's no reward on that anyways, aside from being on the boards. So yeah, I feel like it completely misses the mark for the casual audience. And then it also feels it misses the mark for, the people that play a lot. Let's call them the blasters. Like I consider myself, like I play the game a lot. I'm also a streamer, so this is like part of my profession. So I play the game a lot, and I tried, like to rank at the start of the Gauntlet and everything. But there is basically also a problem for the blasters, because this Gauntlet provides not really any challenge for, like a geared build. Like even if you're level 100 and you have like any of the, decent build combined, like you can easily do a Nightmare Dungeon tier 70. And this is the only difficulty that the Gauntlet is. So there is a tier 70 difficulty, and basically your toughness, what your character has here in armor, in like this is my character right now. This is my Gauntlet character. Like, I don't care about resistances. I don't care about my armor. I don't even care about how much life I have, because the content is so easy that none of this even matters. Like, you know, we actually switched from like a triple defensive chest with like a bunch of armor to like just a chest that gives us, you know, a little bit of cooldown reduction. Just this tiny bit of cooldown reduction for an advantage, because yeah, like toughness doesn't matter. We switched out like most of our, or should have switched out all of our all-res rolls on our boots, just to get shrine buff duration, which is another topic that we'll talk about in a second. But it basically, like, your defense is completely irrelevant in this content. Like literally half your stats don't matter, and even your damage only matters to a very certain degree, because you are getting carried by those pylons that we will talk about in a second. So it feels like, you know, very, very counterintuitive, like with the current, you know, stats of the game. Like your offense doesn't matter, your defense doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is speed, 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 and shrines, shrine buff duration. This is literally the only thing that matters. And on top of this, with the shrines, the impact of the shrines is way too high. In like an average run, you guys can see, like, on my final scores, I'm getting like 1 million score, and I'm killing the bosses 5 times each. So I'm killing 25 bosses in 8 minutes. So if you take 8 minutes times 60 seconds, you divide it by 25 bosses. Like, I'm killing a boss every 19 seconds. And a shrine lasts, with shrine buff duration, for almost a full minute. So on average, I always have 3 shrines active. And this is completely trivializing the content even further. It's only tier 70, and you always have 3 shrines active if you are, like, you know, playing at the speed required for the top ranks. So it feels more like that you are playing the shrines rather than playing your actual character and build. You know, the current rank 1 Barb, for example, plays a build that is like a double swing charge Hoda whirlwind hybrid that is only there to proc shrines. I can show this to you real quick when I go on the Gauntlet. Like, it's literally like, it's not about your character anymore. Like, you are just playing around the artillery shrine, which is basically all your DPS. Like, all you do in the end, and I'll show you some gameplay here, is literally spam your whirlwind, which in itself is just a support skill. It doesn't even deal any damage. You're only doing this because it triggers the artillery shrine. So instead of playing your actual character, I'll show you here, look. Instead of playing your character, you're doing this. Like, you're just casting Whirlwind, and the artillery shrine, like, you have artillery shrine permanently in this Gauntlet, because there's 2 of them, and you just do this, basically. I mean, this is like an extreme, you know, showcase example, but basically all you do is just spin. You cast your Whirlwind, like, you spam the button, and then your arrows kill everything. And like, none of your other skill, your damage, your toughness, like, everything is irrelevant, right? So I think this is extremely stupid. Like, basically just, like, you know, ignoring your build and just playing around the shrines, man. And I mean, the same and even worse to a degree is the progression shrine. Like, when I go there, like, there are these progression shrines, and if you don't have shrine buff duration, like, you can't even compete, or you can't even, you know, hope to get a good ranking, because these things here, they double your progression score. And they are, like, down here as well, and they are buffed by your shrine buff duration. So, like, it basically becomes a must-have to have these kind of shrines and shrine buff duration. You need it on your amulet, and you need it on your boots, and else you just can't even hope to do anything in this Gauntlet, basically, like, for the top, or for any, like, meaningful score. And you see, all the stuff here is, like, all about cooldown and movement speed. Like, I have movement speed, I have shrine buff duration, I have cooldown reduction. Like, you know, a normal amulet, like, would have, like, a passive that gives you some damage, like, you know, counter-offensive or something, you know, like some DPS, or, you know, even some fury cost reduction or something. But also that is trivialized, because you have perma-channeling shrine in these kind of dungeons. So yeah, like, nothing else but movement speed and shrine buff, and anything that interacts with the shrines somehow matters, basically. So, I don't know, I made you the argument here, like, why I think it missed the target audience for the casual players, and it missed the target audience of the people that play the game a lot. And I also think, like, anything in between. So I asked myself, and also you guys, let me know in the comments, like, what do you think, like, who was the Gauntlet made for? You know, like, who is the target audience that should play, or that this mode is for, you know? Because it's way too easy and way too trivialized for the blasters, and it's just not rewarding at all for the casuals. And I mean, they could fix at least the rewarding side for like a casual player so easy. If you remember like a Diablo 3 challenge rift, which was very similar, you had like some meaningful bounty materials that you couldn't get. And there is a lot of materials that would be an incentive to get for the players. For example, they could give fiend roses. They could give, like, I don't know, some of these flowers here that you need for your elixirs or for your potions. They could give you, okay, we don't really need pearls, but they could give you forgotten souls. They could give you maybe even a small chance for an uber unique or resplendent spark. They could give you veiled crystals. They could give you, like, I don't know, something that you need, right? They could give you gold or obols or something, you know, or maybe even like red dust or something to gamble items with. I mean, I think obols would be cool. Obols and maybe some gold, because I know a lot of players that have tried to get shrine buff duration, and by the way, rerolling in this game also sucks, so it's very hard if you have like an amulet where you need to roll shrine buff duration on or something. Like, it literally drains all your materials. So I feel, you know, giving players at least some rewards, like, I don't know, like 100 forgotten souls. Like, if you get I don't know, if you get the top seal and make a top seal harder to get, you get like, I don't know, top 100 seal. And you get 100 forgotten souls, and if you get the next seal, you still get 80 forgotten souls per week or something, right? It wouldn't even be crazy. I don't know, just something cool. Like some meaningful, cool rewards, and not just like, you know, a bunch of items that you would salvage anyways. So yeah, I don't know. Again, I turn the question to you. Who do you think the target audience is for this game mode? And then also, like, in terms of, you know, running the Gauntlet, yes, there is quite some theory involved in this, like what you can do, and like there's a couple options, definitely. But in the end, it boils down to running the same dungeon and the same loop over and over and over again. You're just running in a circle, killing the same monsters that aren't a challenge, with some shrines. Not even your build is relevant, so you're just running loops, and you're running loops, and you're running even more loops, and trying to min-max your score a bit. And then there's also like a lot of RNG that I will get into it at the end of the video. Like, there's some RNG involved here, basically. But yeah, you're just running like mindless loops in a maze of monsters, it feels. And I don't feel that's the most fun. It's okay, like, to think about it, you know, for a couple hours maybe, but after that, man, it just gets really dull. And now, like, I don't see myself doing this or enjoying this every week, you know. Like, I've like created these like different routes here and step-by-step guides. I'm gonna link them in the description if you want to check them out. So I actually put in a lot of effort there, but like now I just feel like, yeah, it's just like underwhelming and disappointed after playing this a couple times. Like, I don't really want to do this every week. It feels like there's not really like any incentive to it, you know, like, why? So it's just like a bit frustrating. And I think here Elon Musk was posting this like on one of my tweets. Like, it just feels like washing dishes, and he tweeted this picture here, like, you know, like of a scientist making the experiment here with a lab rat or a mouse, and yeah, it feels like rats solving a maze. It's just not fun. And he also says here that unlike Avatar of Zir, there's no risk of death. There's nothing to create tension. There's just a fixed layout, and you do endless maze of the same routes. So I just feel like, you know, I just missed the mark there as well by not being challenging at all. And I mean, you could argue, yeah, there is a challenge to get on the boards, and if you want one of the top scores, you need to think about this a lot, like I've been doing. It's enjoyable maybe for a day or two, but after that, man, it just gets really boring. Because again, there's just nothing to do in this mode. It feels like no challenge really. Like, the game, I still think, is missing any form of endgame, and especially any challenging endgame for players. Like right now, with the level of power creep that we also have, there's just nothing hard in the game that even justifies having a strong character, you know? You can have these strong characters that hit for billions and billions of damage, like a Hoda Barb or a Charge Barb, or some like Ball Lightning Swords, or some Barrage Rogues and stuff like that. Even some Druids, like, they hit for a lot of damage, But there's just no reason. Like the highest monster in the game is Duriel or Duriel or Lilith, and they have like 200 million health or something, and you're hitting for a couple billion. So there's like nothing really to, you know, even that incentivizes you to take your build to the next level, to min-max further. So I'm really hoping to see, you know, some endgame content at some point here. Like that is like actually a challenge, similar to what Abattoir of Zir was. I know it had its problems, but I actually like that stuff. Because I think we need like some sort of endgame mode that is a challenge to your build. You know, maybe somewhat similar. Yeah, then also there was a lot of minor problems, I feel, with the Gauntlet that has been ignored. There's been, if you've seen my previous videos, there's been a lot of bugs because we didn't have a PTR. So I'm looking forward to the PTR that's coming. Like I think they learned a lot from this. Because I think like these bugs and snapshots, like people could like pre-lure monsters. People could and still can snapshot or take shrine buffs into the Gauntlet. And not only has this not been fixed, I don't even feel this has been addressed at all. Like we don't even know if this is, I'm just guessing it's not intended, but like we have not really like heard any statement on this. So I don't know, a lot of people have been using this to gain a big advantage. As I get 55k score here to go on the leaderboards. But yeah, there's just like all these bugs that are still in the game that have not been, or bugs at least, I consider them bugs, because I thought you're not supposed to bring any buffs into this Gauntlet, but yet here we are, people are bringing like 5 different shrines into the Gauntlet, gaining, you know, the shrine effects like from the very start and then just having them permanently, basically. And yeah, there's just a bunch of these kind of stuff. There's also quite some RNG involved here, like where and how you spawn your hordes. There also seems to be despawning sometimes, especially on sorceresses. So there's like even more bugs that are not really like figured out, but it seems like for no reason you do the same route and sometimes you get 100k less score on some of these characters. And yeah, there's also something that really breaks the game flow of the Gauntlet. Like there are these chests and there are also these keys that you have to collect. And it's really, you know, breaking the flow of a speed endgame that you have to pick up those keys and you have to pick up those scores. It just breaks the entire like game flow, I feel. So like, you know, all the scores auto pick up, but not the ones that you get from the chests, for example. So these are like a lot of like minor things that I think would improve the mode even more. And yeah, it also has been basically delayed like 3 or I think even 4 times. This Gauntlet has been delayed. There's been like an entire story, I'm going to link the video below, but basically this created higher and higher expectations, right? Because they kept saying they delay the Gauntlet, they want to polish it more. Well, and then it came out here a couple, 2 weeks ago, and well, this is what we got now, and we just talked about all the problems. So yeah, there's also a lot of backtracking, of course, that you have to do to pick off these scores. I mean, there's more issues with it, but I feel like, you know, it just, the major issue, I feel it just missed the mark, man. It doesn't really interest like a casual player to play the game, to play this mode, and it doesn't really interest a player that plays the game a lot to play it either. So again, I asked the question, you know, what do you think? Who was this made for? Like, what is the target audience of the Gauntlet? Because yeah, I don't really understand it, and I've been talking with many people. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I hope that next week, when we get the public test realm announcement, which I think is really cool, and we get to see the massive changes, massive itemization changes that are coming, affixes, item stats, codex of powers, new endgame system. And this is gonna really mark a turnaround point for the game, because yeah, right now, interest in the game is astronomically low, or on an all-time low, and I really hope this this can change in the future with some meaningful, impactful changes here with these new systems. Either way, I'm keeping a positive outlook, and we'll see what we get next week. I'm still excited for what they have in store and cooking, and we'll be watching it live and reacting, and we'll see what this massive itemization changes and new in-game systems are gonna be all about. Hope you enjoyed, my friends. Take care. Bye-bye. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.